Welcome back. It is the week after Louisville Regionals. This is the Total Power Podcast. Brock, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
There you go. Welcome back to reality. I think the biggest thing here is like everyone's like a friend talked about everyone getting sick in Memphis, and I got a stiffy nose. So apologies in advance if you hear me mouth breathing or anything that doesn't sound super pleasant. That's on me. But we're here and we had a great weekend. Obviously, Louisville had happened, and we both attended with I would say what you guys had like 20 people show up from Memphis. Like, how far is that drive for you?
It's only 5 hours.
Yeah, that's not bad. We had, I think it's 9 people drive and then one person fly. It was a good time. I'm not gonna lie. We left Thursday at like I want to say 4 p.m. Central Time, and we got there at like 4 a.m. Eastern Time, so 11 hours. But we also I stopped and I had a big chicken Big Mac. That thing slaps. But overall, great weekend so far. Let's hop right into it. I think we should start with our personal stuff first before we get to overall tournaments. And I think we should let you go first because you're way better than me. And that's just
Uh,
it makes it mine's short and sweet, so we can do it the opposite way too. But you had way more fun than I did. Um,
y- yeah. I ended up playing roles exact 60 Lugia Archeops to the event. Did a lot of testing leading up to the tournament. And basically me and my group decided that Dustnor probably wasn't the best call going into the weekend. Just due to like drawing even slightly poorly and you just fall too far behind to kind of come back against a lot of decks right now, at least for the meta we perceive. So we decided to play Lugia. We tried a couple of the cards to like try to change from roll 60 because it's like maybe try to be different, but we're like, okay, the bundle's good. All the other cards that you would potentially cut are just better than the cards that we were thinking about cutting for it. The only card that like I kind of wish I had was a second Mist Energy instead of the fourth double turbo, so like just swap that. But it didn't end up mattering because I finished 37th place with a 9-3 record. Um, and two of my losses. Well, one of my first loss of the day was the eventual winner of the tournament in Caleb Gettimer playing Raging Bolt. So that one doesn't feel that bad.
no, that feels totally fine and normal. It's
Yeah.
I wouldn't complain either. It's one of those things.
No.
It's a big thing in sports. Well, you lost the guy that eventually won, right? Like it's not a big deal. It's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah,
I
but
mean,
like it still stinks.
well, it felt good that I could play with him. Like I didn't feel like I was like that I was like that much worse than him. Like at the end of the day, it didn't feel like that
You were in
I
it.
was like I was in it. Like I was like one misplay that turned into like three by like the end of it because like I made a bear play that cost me one too many energies to where I couldn't attack with the Lugia the following turn without drawing energy off my prizes, which I couldn't do. And then he played the third Bravery Charm down onto the Teal Mask Ogre Pawn, which didn't allow me to win the game. It was like a whole like chain of things that just small things that he punished me for. But yeah, so I my day started off with I played against a Teal Mask Entei deck is the like weird Japanese like teal mask to get to switch it onto the Entei, and you played
Magma basic.
the no, you played area the under depths to like make a wide bench and you can hit for like a ton of damage with Entei.
Yeah, the
So that
Rhino
deck was a
tree.
little that deck was a little hard to play against, but then I realized the second and third game, so I lost game one, and then the second and the third game, I realized that if I just leave a Lugia in the active, like just a Lugia V in the active and don't bench anything else behind, that he cannot KO my Lugia V. Like his max damage output is 200 damage. So games two and three, that's what I did. So I was able to play it slow and win that way. And game 3 started basically in time. When we made a gentleman's agreement, and I took the first 2 prize cards, and he was a good enough guy to where he honored the gentleman's agreement, and we went about our way. But the rest of the tournament, I played against a Reggie Drago player, 2-0'd them. It's kind of a crazy game because I had 0 Archeops in my discard, and he killed one of my Lugia Vs, so I had one more Lugia V on my bench and a Minchino. So I promoted the Minchino, and off of my research, I had to hit exactly Ultra Ball Archeops to be able Ultra Ball Archeops and Cinchino to be able to win the game, or to even like play the game because he had a Bolt with 3 energies on it and a Bravery Charm. And off of my research, I hit exactly those 3 cards, and I just blew him out from there because he had no energy on board with a 3-card hand. And then I played against a Charizard player, and game 1 I just blew up. I had a Minchino with a legacy on it, so if they kill it, it does nothing. Like it's just kind of a 0 prize card, so they can't really take it to gain advantage. So they tried to go around it, and I just blew up 2 Zards in a row with it and ended up winning the game like that. And then I played Getimer round 5, and I got 2-0'd by him. And then I played Brandon Braun, who got second place with Lugia at one of the California regionals last year. And we went to 3 games in the Lugia Mirror, and I ended up winning it. And then I played against Snorlax Control, and he did not play Temple of Sinnoh or Yakumo, so that was a pretty easy 2-0. And then round 8, I played against Ryan Antonucci, and I drew terrible game 1. And he didn't really reveal too much. He basically got to quad Snorlax board and just stuck me on that. And then game 2, I bumped Temple of Sinnoh, didn't have any stadiums left, and he played another Sinnoh and countercatchered up my Lumineon, and I'm like, okay, you win, good job. And then he showed me the other 2 Sinnohs in his hand. So he played 4 Temple of Sinnohs in Snorlax control. So
That's sick.
and a Silene. So I'm like, okay, I never win this.
I think
That's
you
okay.
did you say he played Guacamo too?
Yeah, he played 2
Oh my
Giacomos.
god!
He played 2 Giacomos.
Talk
So it's
about
like,
trying. He's in
yeah.
there.
And he ended up top 16, I believe. So it's like that's one of those where it's like it feels bad because
Yeah,
like
15th.
yeah. So like my first 2 my losses, both my losses in day 1 were to the winner of the tournament and a top 16 player. So it's like, okay, it is what it is. And then going into day 2, I was still feeling really hot because I started 6-1, and then I lost to basically an auto loss. So going into day 2, I felt very good. I played against a Reggie Drago player, and Reggie Drago kind of did what Reggie Drago does sometimes and kind of bricked game 3. He went attach pass, and I went read the wind, and he went attach pass. So I ended up winning that one. I played against Palkia the next round, and Palkia has a very hard time of beating Lugia if they can't double Nor your Lugia V turn 2. Like it's really hard. Like if you get double Lugia out and if they don't double Nor plus kill your Lugia, it's like really hard for them to win. And then I played against a Reggie Drago player. I played against this first year senior that just played the matchup perfectly. He basically set up a board wipe on the last turn of the game, like turn 2 of time. So that was unfortunate, but it was what it was. Um, and then the last round I played against Dragapult and a Dragapult Pidgeot, and I basically just went turn 2 Iron Hands, and then turn 2, turn 3 Iron Hands both games, games 2 and 3, and end up winning that. So because they can't the Pidgeot version can't deal with a turn
No,
if I'm
Iron
going
Hands is
first,
terrible.
a turn 2 Iron Hands, they just physically cannot deal with it, especially if it has a mist on it. Like they have to get the Sinnoh and all that kind of stuff. So
Without
there was like
Pidgeot, yeah, it's just
without, yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, so I finished 9-3 on the day, and like it felt really good to finally get a good finish after a bunch of top 128s. Yeah,
yeah. Unfortunately, this just puts you out of the money, and we'll talk about that kind of drama later. That's
I
silly
was never in
things.
contention for money.
I mean, you're close based on your 2 losses and resistances.
No. There was 0-3
I,
losses that got money.
I'm aware. That's part of the
Yeah,
drama
yeah,
of
yeah.
the next time, right? But like,
Yeah.
I guess that there is a lot of X2s, huh? So that still wouldn't change
Yeah,
it either way,
there was one X2-1 that missed money.
which is crazy. And we'll talk about that more in depth and whatnot. But yeah, overall killer run, dude. Like, one thing that does bug me, and I didn't realize this until the car ride back to Nebraska, the pricing for 33rd through 128 is the exact same besides the
Yep,
points. That makes
exactly.
me so upset. That's
I got
there's
one
3
box.
levels of pricing in that section, and it's the
Yep,
exact same besides CP.
yep. I got a singular box.
That is so dumb because obviously I also had a friend that made day 2 from Omaha playing Dragapult Dustor, no Pidgeot. And we'll go into that here in a second. But yeah, it's the exact same. So everybody in day 2 after 32nd got a box and some type of points, and that was it. Nothing else
Not
changed.
everybody.
I thought it
Like
was.
if you were below, if you were 129th or lower, you got half a box.
Oh yeah, correct. Sorry, it does change it. No, because doesn't 256 get half a boxes now with the
Nope.
new system?
It's half a box.
Right, that's 256.
256 gets half a box, yes. But we had we
Yeah,
had 200 players in day 2.
yeah, I'm over. I'm going crazy. Sorry. But yeah, so basically everybody from 33rd to 128 gets the exact same thing. I think it's obviously CP difference and whatnot is pretty nice. But you can't get a box and a half. That's the craziest thing to me. You can't get a box and a half for being 100 places better than somebody. I don't know. That rubs me the wrong way.
I got the same amount from Baltimore after only winning one game in day 2.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is nuts. Um, so we'll give a big shout out real quick before I even go into mine to Dean Davis because his run's way more cooler than mine. Um, Dean and I don't really necessarily test together because I don't get to play in person as much. Um, but he did make day 2 and I did not. So we'll talk about him because he's way cooler than me. Um,
I will say before we get into that, we
yeah.
had, I believe, 7 players from the greater Memphis area day 2.
Oh, I saw
So
that tweet.
big shout outs to Kenny, Nate, Udish, Brandon Joestar, Dylan. I think that's everybody.
I can't remember who tweeted it. Someone tweeted out it was like 2 top 64, 1 top 128. It was a really cool stat. If you knew
Yeah,
whose Twitter that was
it was
about Memphis.
well, one of my buddy, it was my buddy Jordan. I can pull it up for a
Yeah,
second.
it's super cool. Just like read it.
He has 2 Twitters. I have to get to the other one.
Jordan. Well, we're finding the tweet and we're gonna
Yeah, so
wrap.
he has
There he is.
from the Memphis area, we had 3 top 120 or 3 256s, 4 top 128s and 2 top 64s.
Incredible. Incredible stuff. It really is. Like if you really think about it, just deep down, it's super nice. We had the one top 256. He finished 157th. Everybody else I know in Omaha, we didn't make day 2. We were just there having fun. But yeah, Memphis is killing it. That's that. I mean, the credit to that of the in person daily play. Like I know you guys were in that Discord call the one time I was at work. Like you guys are
Yeah.
playing nonstop. So like, it's nice to see the work is paying off. Um. Well, yeah, we'll move on there to this Dragapult slash rant. And I want to preface this with saying I don't think it was the play for the tournament per se, but it's the deck that I had the most reps on and felt more comfortable with. I also thought about playing Palkia Dusknoir, but I hate Pokestop as a card in general. It is a very good deck. I just don't like Pokestop as a engine, in my opinion. And so we'll see how I flip or change up or whatnot going forward. Um, but Dean made day two. All I did, I just changed one card from Yuki's list in Dortmund. I changed one Earthen Vessel into the EXP share because I was like, I was never whiffing energy. And I didn't even whiff energy in the tournament, really. I whiffed more Pokemon based stuff. But I never whiffed energy. And EXP share was super clean because it was basically like your pseudo second crystal. You attach crystal to active, throw the EXP share on the bench, and then you know you already have one energy in hand 90% of the time, so you just throw one back and call it a day. And then you can stretch her for the energy that died beforehand or whatever. But it's basically a second way to utilize crystal, which was super clean. And then he actually cut a Dracloak for a Thornton, getting all Charizard in here. Um, which he said it helps him out a lot against the like the Sobs and Lugia, the Teal Masks and Lugia that were coming back. No, what's the water one called?
Uh,
Wellspring.
that's right.
Wellspring. The Wellsprings that were coming back in Lugia. I don't think any made day, or maybe one made day two, but Wellspring was there, and the Greninja plays and whatnot, and Duskull itself and Dusknoir itself. So yeah, I think Dragapult is a lot of fun. It's a fine deck. I think it could win a tournament again in the right situations, but like I think Gedimer played 4 Bravery Charm. Am I crazy in
Three,
saying that?
three.
3 Bravery Charms. When your worst matchup is now playing 3 Bravery Charms for Dusknoir and potentially yourself, it just does not make it as fun pulling off a 4 price turn. So
He also played the Luminion, which I think that's going to be more of a thing now because you can no longer get unfair stamped to low and just be dead as
correct,
well.
yeah, that is super nice. I remember him grabbing it. I want to say it was in game 2 or 3 of finals for I think Iono or something. He Iono or not. He doesn't play Iono. He grabbed it for was it Boss? I don't know. He played it in the finals for sure. I can't remember off the top of my head now. But definitely super cool inclusion. There's nothing exciting about my run, but I potentially could have played a lot better. I did play our good friend Caitlin from the Memphis
Yep.
area. She swamped me. Absolutely battered me. She's playing Goldango, and I'm playing Dragapult, obviously. And I just get whomped by a Greninja play turn 2 as she's went second. And then game 3 was a lot closer. Um, but there is a weird intricate play that I don't know if it's a misplay on my part or just kind of unlucky. um, I put 6 damage counters on a gimme ghoul. I didn't split the damage. It was like turn 2. I was like, I got a clean Dragapult start. Um, she evolves the not damaged gimme ghoul. So the little one's still just sitting there, but doesn't have a way to get Greninja out of the active. And I think she prized Palkia V or Palkia V Star, so she couldn't even subspace or the what's the ability? The where is it? You can't put
Star
the
Portal.
Star
Star
Portal. You
Portal.
can't put the water energy on Greninja to do the attack. Um, and that stopped her from even retreating. She just attached to Goldango's like, oh here, take my 1 prizer, you can have it. And so I did. I took a 1 prizer. Um, but that brought up the awkward scenario, and I didn't foresee this. I put 1 damage counter on the damage giving ghoul to get a 2 prize knockout, and then I only put 5 on the Goldengo in play. And so then my 4 price turn is now basically eliminated from this scenario. And then she just wins the game with double superior energy retrievals eventually at the end, and that's just what Goldengo does. She played it really well, really clean, and I can't complain. It was a lot of fun. It makes it a lot easier, playing round 1 someone you know. It does stink losing it, but that that happens is Pokemon Goldango's sick. I'm never gonna be upset losing to Goldango. So,
She was
props to
playing
her.
Charizard for a while,
She
and
was saying
then
that, yeah.
she, we she was like, "I don't think I want to play Charizard," and I was like, "I wouldn't."
um, and then big things to think about. I'm not gonna go super in depth with it. I did lose to a Charizard technically, but it's my own loss
What do you
doing.
mean technically?
So I won game one. He wins game two in time.
Okay,
I concede game three to avoid the tie bracket.
gotcha. Makes sense.
So we technically tied, but the more I think about it going into it, I lost game two based on a Briar play. Um, and once time was called, I think I still played it a little too aggressive. I think if I would have just passed, I don't remember the exact board state or anything like that, but I know he has a damaged Charizard and a
To
damaged.
where like you could just not lose to
If
the
I just
Briar,
not
but
lose, you were exactly. But because I took a
gotcha.
knockout on a Dust Skull that would have got a 4 prize turn for him, it puts me at 2 prizes and gives him Briar access to hit my damage Dragon Pulse. So I don't think either way, because he could have potentially, like, I think Rare Candied into a Dust Snore, knocked out my active, bossed.
You would have just forced him to have what, more
Yeah, I
pieces,
think I want more, yeah,
probably.
more pieces overall because finding one Briar, then finding Rare Candy, Dust Snore, all that stuff. So like I could have won that, and then but I was like, all right, whatever. That was we had a 7 minute extension. I'm not gonna go into details. The kid was very, um,
Green.
I don't know if the word. No, he was calling it on me for like
Oh,
random stuff. The perfect example, I love this one, is I nest balled for a Tatsugiri, and then I put my deck back down, and I hadn't shuffled yet because I was double checking make sure I wasn't gonna go back into it, and I said I wasn't going back into it, and then I announced insta charge, and he reminded me that I hadn't shuffled yet, which I already knew that, and so I begin to shuffle, and he judge calls me for it, and so stuff like that.
oh,
It's yeah,
okay.
and
I
that's
got
okay.
you.
Yeah, so all good. Not too worried about that. The last one. This is to be relevant for a lot of people in a long time. If you're a Dragapult fan, I lost to Turtles in round five at 2-2. Um, or round four. Maybe I swapped it around. Either way, I lost to Turtles as my third loss. But it's like game three. I won game one. He won game two. Obviously, classic like Turtles. You go second, you win type of thing. Um, game three, I um I miss sequence to turn, and I lose to Briar again. And this is me not playing in person cards enough. Um, I have Temple of Sinnoh, counter catcher in hand, damaged turtle in the active, and 6 damage counters on a bear in the back. They also have one Dust Skull in play. They also have Area Zero out. So I decide to bump the Area Zero first. He just gets rid of his bear, which is like what I wanted. I don't want you to hit me for 240 on my Luminion or my Rotom or whatever. Um, and then I get a double knockout on Duskulls and Terapagos, putting me down to 2 prizes. I was like, oh, this is easy. You have this in play. Or it puts me down to whatever it was. And then because I did it that way, it turned Briar back on. And so I only had 2 prizes left. I had 3 damage counters on your only turtle, and then he's just like knocked out Briar game. I was like, oh, that's definitely a thing. But if I would have just taken the 4 prize turn on the bear and the 1 damage turtle, I would have been safe. So
Yeah.
I definitely just need to be a little bit less new into it, whatever, and that's cool. But it was a lot of fun. I found
Briar's
best.
weird to play around.
And like it's one of those cards where you're like you don't think about it until it's on the board. and that's my fault. I mean, obviously, good players think about Briar all the time, and like that's the main difference between me and them. But like while I'm sequencing my turn, I'm not like, oh hey, they could have Briar for a game. I should not take a knockout on the little Duskull right now, because Duskull essentially just gives you 2 prizes and turns Briar back on.
Well, it's like so. It's more about like knowing the routes to where Briar, because it's like when you're playing Turtle, you or when you're playing Raging Bolt against Turtle, you never really want to put your Sandy Shocks or your Ninja down because it opens up Briar potential more easily.
Yeah, because they'll go to
Um,
3 at some point on the 1 prize knockout.
exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird card, and more in person testing would have gotten me
Would have
around it.
helped.
But no one
Yeah.
in our group was playing Turtle. I think Turtle is still a little too fresh and not necessarily figured out yet. And we'll go into
I think
that.
Palkia is just a better
I
turtle.
think yeah, Palkias is way better, and we'll see what happens in April. Hopefully January, we'll get an emergency rotation, but we'll see.
No,
Um,
it's gonna be in March.
yeah, it's the EUIC rotation. The like normal is what it's scheduled to be right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to everybody. Day 2 was super sick. I bought a Lieutenant Surge from Gym Heroes, PSA 9 for $35. That was sick. Shout out Full Grip.
Nice. I bought a Brock starter deck from 1998.
You bought the one? The
Yeah.
one that's so cool.
I bought the Brock starter deck and the Brock
Oh,
Gym Hero pack, or whichever one
oh,
it
what
was.
happened? Talk again?
Hello?
Oh my god, okay, actually there's a feature on my microphone that like I can turn down the volume. I also hit
Oh.
that and muted. It scared me. Anyways, okay, so yeah, dude, you brought the Brock starter deck. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I was very underwhelmed, and this is like side street relevant, but like I was underwhelmed that there's not a single new piece of merch with the new logo on it. Even the mat didn't have the new regional logo on it.
Yeah.
It makes me so like, how are we not making just like a long sleeve T-shirt with the regional mat? You know what I'm saying? Like just like regional, whatever. It doesn't have to be like Louisville specific. Like yeah, just like how the ICs have all the stuff. Like why
Yeah,
are we not
but
just
I mean,
making?
like their marketing department has to just be awful.
It's
That,
gotta
like,
be right. Like I was looking at the nurses, North American nurses psychiatric. Did they had nicer merch downstairs for their conference than we did? For those of you who don't
yes.
know, in the Louisville Convention Center, there was like an upstairs level and a downstairs level, and we were
Instead of
all
being in the basement, we were in the
yeah,
top.
we were in the
It was the
upstairs
opposite.
hall. It was super nice. The convention center and the tournament overall was super cool, but there was this. I think it's American Psychiatric Nurses of America or Association, whatever.
Something,
Double
yeah.
A's, all right, double A's. Pick your A. But they had all this Under Armour and like Adidas and like super nice dry fit type material swag that they can just buy, or maybe they just got it for showing up. That looks super clean. And it was very simple. And I was like, if you just make that the Pokemon new regional logo, you would sell out in a heartbeat with like a Pikachu on the sleeve, like they added to the Play Pokemon shirts. I would kill for one. I would just give me one of them for $35 right now. I would have bought it, but that's a different story for a different day. But yeah, good overall tournament. I don't mind it. We did have a long day one. It seemed like, was that just me?
That was just you, bro. We got out of there by like 7:30.
I would say I know, but we started at 8. That's an 11-hour, 8-round tournament. That's like
We typically don't get out. Last year, we didn't get out till like 10 o'clock.
yeah, I'm aware of what I remember Peoria being really late. That was terrible. Peoria,
Yeah.
we were out late for that one.
We were out early for this one.
Yeah, compared to Peoria, yes,
Also,
but
you
like
got there. You got there at like 7 o'clock in the morning.
that's just a me thing though. I just
Yeah.
one of our buddies drove down Friday and hadn't registered yet. I already wake up early in general just to have coffee and be awake, and so I was like, yeah, I'll walk to the convention center with you. No big deal. And it's like he got his swag back and started that. Also bummed out we didn't get a teal mask play mat. We got Cinder Race.
Yeah.
But Cinder Race is still cool.
But also, like the teal mask was in Twilight, so we're never gonna get that.
but Bear was Dortmund. So like if they would have
Yeah,
made him.
that was the last Twilight one.
Oh, do they do it by actual like stages
Yeah.
of like I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I thought it was just like printing them kind of randomly, to be honest. But like, this is the first Stellar Crown tournament NA, so it was Reboot or
Teal mask,
it was no, we were Stellar Crown
or
now.
it was what's it called?
Cinder
What's the
Race,
Cinder Race?
which is dope. I just hate the crown on the head. That's just a me thing.
No, I'm not the biggest fan of it either.
I love Cinder Race though. Cinder Race is cool.
I mean, I don't hate it, but it was kind of like
Yeah, I get it. I get it. It's definitely a lot different than getting a Blood Moon or Selena 3 weeks
Yeah, the Blood
ago.
Moon was sick.
The Blood Moon's sick. We'll just go overall thoughts real quick of day 2. Here's the breakdown. Shout out to PokeHive. I love this Twitter account. I don't know who makes it or does it, but they do a fantastic job. And the day 1 meta is the exact same for the top 5, except for Charizard and Dragapult swap. Am I getting that correct? Right? Dragapult was like 6% or 7% day 1, and then fell off the map, and Charizard just took its spot. And then Palkia, Snorlax, all these other stuff just slid down a little bit. Right?
Yeah.
So
it's
overall,
basically like almost everything gained like 1%.
And then
Dragapult fell off and Charizard took the spot.
It was definitely way too popular at the bottom tables near me. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
It was definitely there.
It's exactly where it deserved to be.
Okay, relax. All right. There is one in top 32. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Is there?
Yeah, it's Ryuki's exact list in 24th. So someone did pilot. Actually, there's 2 in day 2 at top 64, 132. Shout out to Jesse Spencer and Jake Riggs. They finished 24th and 49th.
Jake Riggs is actually a pretty good player.
And Dragapult's a really good deck. I just think it was very hostile towards it based on Dortmund. I really do. The deck still feels fine.
I think that Dortmund was just Charizard heavy, and that's what dominated. I think that Dortmund didn't see much Lugia play because Europe never sees Lugia. I think that's a very bad matchup for it. And so is like some of these other like weirder decks.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, including myself, also mispredicted the meta. I thought a lot of people were gonna play more turtles. It was popular, not gonna say it wasn't, but like if you go to PokeHive's Dragapult thing, it's got a winning / 50-50 matchup into 4 of the decks. But then the ones that did the best, Lugia, Regidrago, Palkia, Dusknoir, and Raging Bolt, they just it's hard to beat those decks as a Dragapult player.
Consistently.
Yeah. Right, but you're really good into the other 4 decks that were in there. So you're basically gambling. Dragapult was really playing the the Tom roulette of the tournament, probably both day 1 and 2. And so I think once some of this V-Star nonsense goes away, it might be Dragapult's time, and we'll see. That's a whole different thing. We might be moving to Ceruledge here in the next couple weeks. But overall, cool for Dragapult. I think the biggest story, obviously, Raging Bolt won. We talked about Gettimer's listed a little bit already with the Bravery Charms. But Lost Box finishing second. It's so funny. I don't know if you watched Azul stream at all. He kept calling him David Michelson. Classic.
Oh, I did not.
It was so funny.
I was playing most of the day.
Oh, yeah. And so David Michelson, or actually known as Michael Davidson, finished second. I think he's a part of Team DDG.
Yeah, he is.
And then they, I think it's the Iowa kids playing this cool Lost Box list. I mean, it's just standard Lost Box stuff. It really
is. It's a very greedy list.
Like, so was Hendrix at NAIC though, right? Like, it just seems like it's so, I'm gonna fly at you.
I didn't think Hedrick's list was that greedy because you still played the thorns to just give yourself a couple extra turns.
I guess what you're right, yeah.
This one didn't play it.
No. There was one earlier in the day, I think from the same group that had the moon still in here. Or someone with Lost Box played moon earlier in the stream day one.
What's his name? Hunter Butler.
Yes, there it is. Thank you. But yeah, this is definitely hate. I'm gonna go crazy every turn, and my only answer to you is Spirit Tomb, and then we're gonna hope to just Lost Box you out of the game before turn 3. It's kind of what it seems like to me, which is super fun. Can't Can't argue with
Yeah,
it.
I definitely feel like Lost Box, looking back at like the meta, was very well positioned for this tournament. If you could dodge Regidrago
Yeah.
and Dragapult for the same reason, um, if you could dodge those two matchups, which in day two specifically, neither one did great. There were a couple here and there, but most of them didn't do that great.
No, they had
So
a
as long as you could dodge those two matchups, it felt like you were pretty fine.
and it did. Like it only it played against Regidrago 4 times, lost all 4. Because like if you go to PokeHive's Twitter, it shows you what they played in day 2 as a whole, not just one player.
Yeah.
They in total they only played against 4 Regidragos in day 2. All the Lost Box players combined. So which is crazy to think about. But like it 4-0 Turtle, it lost to 1 Lugia Archeops. So there's a lot of good numbers in here in favor of Lost Box, like you said, for the meta itself. It's just so fast, and Iron Hands is still very relevant into.
Iron Hand is still very good.
It's so good.
Like it was probably my best attacker all week.
It's so good. It really is. I think other than Lost Box, it looks like a pretty normal tournament. We did have a turtle sneak in here. It's a pretty cool list. I don't know if I like the mana fee in it or not. That might be just a me thing.
Well, you can just lose to back Trifrost against Regidrago.
Yeah.
Like Gabe did a video on it.
Oh, I mean, I guess I get the point. You could just literally lose Noctowl, Noctowl, Noctowl.
Yep.
Rotom fan. Like, you literally could just... Unless you play Boofs, which I like Boof, but, like, that's just a me thing. And I guess a Tord Redcliffe thing. Maybe he's playing that. The one thing I love a lot about this list is the Vitality Band. And there was a Lugia playing a Vitality Band, too, which I thought was super neat with the Arven. That was crazy. Which is the top 8 Lugia list. But Vitality Band seems very relevant right now with everything having 230 HP. It seems very strange. It also helps Dragapult out if you think about it, doing 200 to 210. I think Lugia played it to do 230 into Turtle. Turtle did to do 230 into other turtles. So Vitality Band and these weird one-off tools seem relevant again.
For sure.
I think, let me find it here. That's Lost Box still. That's Dragapult. Where'd the turtle one go? Snorlax Stall. I think the only worst matchup you talked about, like I said, is Regidrago. It does not like playing against Palkia Dusknoir. That's for sure.
It could just blow you out of the water.
Yeah, it's just so much HP compared to it's the same deck.
Yeah.
It just one has Pokestuff and one doesn't. And you'd rather be the Pokestuff version of that deck. For sure. We'll talk about that for a second. I love the changes that Ian Robb in this top 4 list of Palkia Dusknoir made. The 2 Froakie feels insane. I don't know if you've tried 2 Froakie yet with all this turtle going around. I like the 2 Froakie.
I have not, but it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, Ian Robb cut, I think, 1 Dustle. I'm not sure actually the cuts. I just copied his list into it. This list is still playing 1 Froakie. But if you're going up against Iron Hands, their plan is just to Lost City your Froakie, you never get to Greninja, then you just lose the game. In this list, if you play 2 Froakie, you just get both down, then rare candy the Greninja EX, and you just win the game.
Whichever one doesn't die.
Yeah, whichever one doesn't die, you just rare candy win, and you only need 1 energy to attack, so you just win the game. Or they Devo you and you rare candy again, whatever. But Palkia Dusknoir, really good showing overall. A real fun deck. Like I said, this is my second deck that I wanted to play. I just didn't get as many games in with it, and so there was too many nuanced decisions of do you Pokestop first, do you Chucking Shoes, or things like the order of sequencing in this deck is really, it's not super difficult, but if you don't,
it's not intuitive.
If you don't do it enough, you're gonna feel like you're behind in half your games because you're just wasting so much time on how you want to sequence it, not necessarily the deck itself. Because like I remember I played against one in day 1, obviously, and you'd start with the Earthen Vessel, then you Pokestop, you get 2 Nest Balls off that. So you're literally, I've never seen someone shuffle their deck so much in one game just based on, and he didn't do it multiple times per turn unless he had to, but like it's just one of those type of decks, and it's a lot
Yep.
of fun. I like playing it.
It was definitely one of my picks, and that's what my buddy Nate played in day 2 was Pocket
And I
Duster.
saw you. I stumbled on you testing it too, and like you didn't say you switched yet, but like you were definitely already probably locked in on Lugia at that point.
No. That was like one of the picks I was going into it with. Before if I was gonna play a Dusknoir deck, it would have definitely been Poke Dusknoir.
Mm-hmm.
It just had the highest ceiling out of all of the Dusknoir decks.
For sure.
No, we didn't we didn't pick Lugia until about 2 days before.
That's
That's just kind of like how
how
our
it
testing
went.
group goes.
Yeah,
We don't really pick a deck until like we kind of like till we see more of like how online events are going, and then we kind of like make decisions based off of like that.
yeah, for sure. And like it was a good overall meta call too. I think it's only under 50-50 matchup with Stall and Charizard Pidgeot.
Well, Stall's only bad if they play like multiple Sentinels or Yakumo.
Right. Well, no, not for Lugia. Sorry, we're talking about Palkia Snore.
My bad.
No, you're good. As you can see, it's like a Snorlax, Stall, Charizard, Pidgeot, Lugia, Archeops. These bigger attackers. Like obviously, Lugia has Iron Hands, so that makes it more difficult. But like, if you could just pace with them, then you're rolling. The one thing I liked Dragapult more over Palkia, they had the potential of doing the double Archeops turn a lot easier than Palkia did. Um, Probably one of the main reasons why I leaned more towards Dragapult. Because Palkia needs to double Dust Snore into Star Portal into Greninja on double Archeops. Dragapult just needs one Dust Snore and Counter Catcher, and then Phantom Dive for double Archeops knockout.
I don't think that's a great win condition against Lugia though.
Just double Archeopsing? What do you mean they have no more
Or just like
Archeops?
just that's fine. The Lugia that got powered up just is fine now.
Especially in the Palkia version, absolutely, because they just hit easier. And
I'm just saying is like maybe because you're giving 3 prizes up by that point.
in the Palkia version, yeah, and
No,
the
against the Dragon Ball version, it's the same thing.
no, there's only one prize, and I'm getting two out of it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like most likely the Lugia, if setting up double Archeops, then they're either killing your Rotom or they killed your only one of your only Dreepies in play.
Yeah, so you're trading two for two in that scenario,
That's
and
what I'm
then
saying. Yeah, you're
yeah,
trading 2 for 2, and then you're two-shotting the Lugia in the active, or the Polt in the active, and then I just need to find like Raikou at the end of the game.
yeah, and if they're not playing Raikou, then it's a lot easier. But like I just,
Yeah.
especially with like the Dragapult version, the Rat being the biggest threat. Like getting the double Archeops play is super clean, and then if you're doing that double Archeops play, you also have the 3 extra damage counters to put on the Iron Hands that took out the 2 prize knockouts. So then I can instantly trade into that. And if they don't have Gust, then they're just hitting me for 160 as a Dragapult, and that's where the price shade changes in the line. But obviously that's a lot harder to pull off. Like I'd rather just take out the Rat with the Dust Snore and call it a day. I think that's all the major decks that we have left. Did we talk about Charizard at all? Not really, but it was there. This list is kind of weird and crazy.
I
But
mean,
I think Charizard in general is just weird and crazy now.
yeah.
It's
I
just
was
like,
about to
bro.
say, our buddy Kenny made his first day too, and he played a Regieleki.
Yeah, this list is playing the reset stamp. 5
Yeah,
fire,
he
1
was playing
miss,
that. Yep,
Burrow.
that's about standard.
It's just like you play less energy than Dragapult. It just
Yep,
it makes me so.
they have more access to it too.
That's very true though, but it's still it just makes me queasy. Yeah, but yeah, Charizard's still here. I think the interview, the guy said, with how much HP it has and the energy accelerant, it'll always be a relevant card. It might not be the
Yep.
best meta all the time, but like, and he's spot on. Like, it's always gonna be meta relevant, just with Infernal Rain and Burning Darkness as a general. Even if Dusknoir wasn't a card, it'd still be very relevant. So, Of course, it still stinks into the stall decks, and it did
Well,
lose.
it's not as bad if you're like can you play the Regieleki? So it's like you can go.
That is cool. Yeah.
If nothing else, you can draw a tie, like even at the worst, because you can just recycle Iono and Turo and go infinite with that.
Yeah, they just make it a tie every time instead
Yeah,
of a
you can
loss.
legit just force a tie. So like it's not a great strategy.
But
It's
it
really
works.
not. But it like if it forces from that tie to a loss from a tie, so you can squeak out 1 point and like now that's more relevant into like this type of format.
Right.
But like you can also go infinite with like your Dust Skull and Dust Snores to where like you can just kill Mimikyus and Cornerstones over multiple turns like that.
And just recycle everything
Yep.
and not even play the Charmander in play. You
Yep.
wouldn't even need
Well,
it.
you put one Charmander in play to like kill like something because you should still be playing one canceling clone, so you can like basically get it to like where it's a 5-5 game, like where both players have taken 5 prizes by your own Dust Snore.
Oh, sure.
Um,
Okay.
and then at the end of the game, you just attack with your final Charizard canceling clone, win that way,
Yeah. Okay.
or kill a Rotom at the end of the game.
Sure. Whatever
Like
support Pokemon.
there's a lot of really cool and weird routes that the Regieleki opens up against Stall, and it's like a 1 card inclusion that basically auto wins it as long as they can't attack. So like of course the Pidgeot version, it doesn't help at all because they just go attach Pidgeot, attach 2 miss to Pidgeot and lost zone it. So it's like
Yeah.
okay, whatever. I still lose that one. But like against like the quad Snorlax, it pretty much just beats it.
Yeah. For sure. Well, that makes a lot more sense too. But overall, it's very good in the Raging Bolt, good in the Palkia, good in Dragapult. 50-50s, the Turtles and Dragos, but overall, like, it fits well. And that's what I love about this format. I'm not saying it's a great format, but like it's just so wide. It's just so wide. It's very coin flippy on who goes first or second for a lot of games, but that's why we play best of three, right? That's why we go to these big tournaments because we don't have to play best of one every weekend. Um, do you want to talk about Raging Bolt at all? It's nothing different. It's just the Bravery Charms. I
Um
guess they switched the Swither
like
Wings. That's pretty cool.
so this weekend, Raging Bolt was just very well positioned because I think like the format just still in such a weird infancy phase
Mm-hmm.
that like the Unga Bunga blow up style deck, that's exactly what Raging Bolt is.
Yeah, big
Um,
boomstick go first.
yeah, it's just like it will always be very well positioned into these like unknown formats. And like the adaptations that the top list made made their tournaments even better. Like the what's it
The
called?
Bravery Charms.
The higher bravery charm counts, the Luminion in Gedimer's case, just kind of allowed them to probably steal games that they had no business that they had no
Yeah,
business winning. Um,
for sure.
so like that was just like those minor changes just allowed
Um,
them to like play more. So
and just to put it that way, Xander Perot also played 4.
yep, he played 4 bravery charms, which I don't believe that is correct.
It's so
First
many
off, that
charms.
definitely seems like a hey, I bet you won't play 4 bravery charms, and he said bet. That's
It's
exactly what that
well,
feels
I
like.
think the only difference between the two lists is I think Gedimer played the Briar. No,
Oh,
Perot played
neither of
the
them played
Briar.
Briar.
No, Perot
Oh,
played Briar.
did Pro? It makes more sense with Pro playing the Briar because he can keep his energy on board more
With Bravery
because of the
Charms.
extra bravery charms. Yeah.
It's still crazy. Either way, Bolt finished first, 10th, and 19th, so like it's still very much up there. Um, and Reggie Drago finished 5th, 30th, and 35th. But this is where we kind of slowly wrap it up and we talk about how this kind of stinks overall for Pokemon in general. So if you weren't aware of what happened, it was a clean cut at 8 players. Super close. So Brandon Dean down. There was no asymmetrical cut, and nobody that went X and 2 made cut. And I'll let Brock explain to why this is terrible because he actually was 1 game off of being X and 2. Let me pull up Trainer Hill real fast. Obviously,
Yes.
no, not Trainer Hill. Um, what's the new Pokemon data site for records? I,
I have no
oh
idea.
my god, I have it on my phone. Anyways, yeah. So X and 2 did not make cut, and it's definitely caused friction on Twitter.
Yes.
While I find this
Um.
website, you go for it.
So essentially, what ended up happening was we were 100 players short of getting an extra round in day one. That would have forced us to play 9 rounds day one, which drastically shrinks the number of day two competitors. So at Baltimore, we had exactly 129 players in day two. When at Louisville, I believe we had like, I think 200 or just under 200.
194.
So we had 194 players. So that's another 70 players that we had essentially, a little less than that, but which forces the ties to mean a little more because we have so many more players, but not more rounds. So like the difference between first place and like even my record is like Caleb only had one more win and one less loss slash tie than me. And I ended up 37th and he was first seed. So it just shrunk the whole tournament down to the point where X2 missed cut. And essentially, I know for a fact that Alex Szymanski at 18th place came in at 6-2 and then went 4-0 to make it to 10-2.
Correct.
So he missed cut even though he didn't drop a game in day two. So everyone within the competitive Pokemon community is like in an uproar right now because it's like, why are such as myself? I came into the day at 6-2. Why am I even playing in a second day of competition if I have no chance of making the final cut? Which is the problem. Not really the issue that the higher record, like clean cut, because that's not like if X11 is going to be like the new meta for what we have to achieve, then you need to cut off the players that are making day two to match that. Because like if I would have went undefeated on the day and I would have ended up like at like 10th or 11th place, I would have been pissed.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where like I don't know if you can cut it because like I get what you're saying that if you cut it at one loss and one tie, and then if you do more than that, you get out of there. I think the big thing that solves this is the ninth round on Monday or Saturday.
Yes, but that
Obviously,
doesn't.
the tournament structure changed
Yes, like
overall. Like
that's the biggest issue.
they can't change that in Louisville, but they need to
Yes.
amend that now before Lille.
So
I don't think
I
they're
don't think
going
they
to.
will.
No, of course they won't. But like they need to.
Not for the reasons I think everyone is saying is like Pokemon doesn't care, nothing like that. It basically gets rid of the integrity of the entire season from before this if you amend it now. Because of the tournament structure that has already been played at the previous tournaments. So the tournaments prior to this tournament will have an asterisk next to it because it was done under the new tournament structure compared to like the people that do well at every tournament passes will have done it under this other tournament structure. So I don't think they'll do it because of that factor, not because like they don't want to, because it's like I think that for the health of the game, it would be correct to amend it
Yeah.
now. But I don't think they will because they've already started the season like this. Now I do think we're gonna have a big change the start of next season.
Yeah, it just seems so
Because of the
far away.
it does, but it's like that's the thing is like this is the tournament structure we went into with the season, and I kind of had an inkling that that's how it was going to end up anyways, because I was looking and we had I believe 4 undefeateds going into day two, and I'm like, bro, I don't think
Correct.
X2 makes cut.
It was like Tyler
Like I'm just
Matthews.
no, there were 4 undefeateds: Gedimer,
Gettleman,
Kieran, and
Tyler
I guess
Matthews, and one
Tyler.
more. Yeah, because he was
Yeah,
at he
so
was
it's
at 801. He played tied, or he was
okay.
at.
So that's not what I'm talking about. Then that's not undefeated. It's you haven't taken a loss, but that's not undefeated. Like there were 4 8-0s.
Oh, I'd have to go back and look then, round
Yes,
by
there
round.
there were 4 8-0s at the time. So I even looked at it and I said, bro, I don't think X2 makes it. Like, of course, you're still playing towards that in case something funky happens,
Yeah,
but
there was
like I even
three straight
3 undefeated.
undefeated. Yeah, 3 undefeateds plus him because he got the down pair. That's what I'm thinking
Yes.
of. Tyler Matthews was the player who got down paired into an 8-0 in the first round or whatever it was.
Got you.
Yeah.
But anyways, so like it's one of those things like we can complain all we want, but it's like I don't think we'll have many tournaments like this season to where we just missed the 9 rounds
because we
and we have
were,
such a massive day 2.
I think we were like 30 players off, right? It's 20, what?
It was I believe it was 60.
Oh, because it's 2048 that you need 9 rounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be
How
like
many players
90.
did we end
We
up?
had
How many
19
players?
something, 1963, 1970.
Okay, yeah, we were 100,
Yeah.
roughly 100 players off.
Yeah.
So that means this was like one of the biggest tournaments with 8 rounds.
It was, yeah, mathematically had to been. Yeah.
So it's like
It'll be small. It'll be bigger than by Sacramento by a couple hundred players probably. I bet Sacramento.
yeah, like Sacramento will be smaller, and Sacramento I don't think will have this issue because it'll be smaller.
It'll be like
Like
1,500
I'm pretty sure even
players.
if we had like 50 less or even like 20 less players in day 2, that we don't have this issue.
Yeah, probably. I think that makes sense in my head too. I think one of the things is like, if it continues to be an issue, I hope they resolve it mid-season. I understand the integrity of the tournaments and whatnot. I think it would be scummy to change the rules for a tournament that the registration's already up. But say you announce this change is already going to happen for the first regional after LAIC. Not as,
So
I'm saying
they
saying
can't
that
do that though.
what, but if you know
So
the rules going into the tournament have changed, then that's fine. It's the same way with a banned card. They're not going to wait till the
but
summer to ban a card if it needs to be banned.
sure. But when they amend the Pokemon rules, they have to be followed at whatever tournament that they're amended at.
Correct. So
Like you
I'm saying,
can't wait. That's what I'm saying is like, but you
I,
can't
I'm
let people sign up for a tournament
that's my point.
and then
We're saying the same
yeah.
thing. So you have to announce the change for said tournament before registration goes live, and that's why I said after LAIC because registration for LAIC is already up. So whatever regional that is after it, it might be San Antonio.
Toronto.
No, Toronto's registration is already up. So you couldn't
That's what
do
I'm
it for
saying, but it's
yeah.
the tournament after
Right.
LAIC.
Oh, okay. So then whatever
That's what I'm
tournament you
saying
want.
is like
Right.
they're not staggered enough to where that works.
Right, but you could announce that for San Antonio right now. And it would be fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but they would have to amend it now to be able to enforce it at San Antonio. Or it would have to amend it now to give you the notice for it, but then they would have to amend it for the tournament that's already happening.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but they technically didn't have to do that because they knew the
They
rules
don't.
going. Yeah, it'd be very scummy either way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's just not.
It feels bad, but to fix it for the future, if they had to do it right now, that there is a way they could. I think Pokemon's not going to do it at all.
Yeah, I think it's wasted breath talking about it.
Yeah, I think Pokemon's just going to kind of watch it happen and let it keep
Fix it
happening
next
and finish it in the summer. Yeah, and who knows that we could have a whole new structure again based on if they view Worlds as a success this year or not. And they could change everything all over again. We can go back to being chess players and doing ratings for God knows what could happen.
That's basically what we're doing this year.
Yeah, but it really is though, based on the point system. But overall, man, I had a blast of a weekend, and this format has its good and has its bad, and we love that. Pokemon's changing and evolving. Next week, we're gonna talk about more Surging Spark stuff because pre-releases are gonna start happening, and city leagues are happening right now, and then what was I going to say? And then Lil, there's one more regional in between there too, right? It's Lil and what else? Sacramento. We just mentioned it. So there's two more regionals.
Like a month.
Yeah, and Sacramento's in the new format. Lil is in this format we just played. I believe that's this weekend, or is it the weekend next?
I'm not sure.
Arcanine's too bright. I'm not gonna show it. But yeah, it's an exciting time to be back. I'm glad this season's like fully kicked off. Like it's always the first one that seems fake. Like when you watch Baltimore in the World's format, it's like, oh yeah, Pokemon's back. Well, not now. Now we're in it. NA's had their first regional and new Style Crown format. You had it. We have one more in this format, which is crazy to think this is a one tournament format, which is nuts.
I mean, we had what's it called was in this format.
What?
The last two regionals have been in this.
Those were both EU. We haven't had
Yeah,
This is
it's
the
the
first.
first. Yeah,
This
it's
is,
the first NA one.
this is the first and only NA one in this format,
Yeah.
which is crazy. Lil will have one more in this. Sacramento will be different. I'm hoping to go to San Antonio. I think Brock. I think that's the same plan for you. You're going to Sacramento.
No.
Yeah, I think our next venture is Texas, and then churros, which I'm pretty pumped for. I don't know why I'm showing that type of thing. Either way, thank you all for watching. Welcome back to the pod. We're hoping to do this every Wednesday. I think we've ironed out our scheduling issues on my end, and so I think we got it all figured out now. Hopefully, and we'll be able to upload and make this content the best it needs to be for you guys. Brock, you got anything?
I do not.
Perfect. Let's get out of here. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
that was a long pause.
I was doing something on the computer.
It got me off guard. Oh, good stuff.